Hi everyone, it's nearly Christmas and this is a short video reflection for Christmas Eve, so the 23rd of December. And I've been thinking a little bit about Christmas carols. Now in our lounge we have a little block of wood, I hope you can see that, that says O Night Divine, which is a line from O Holy Night, which is one of Leah's favourite Christmas carols, and I quite like it too. And I was thinking a bit about some of the words that are in this song, and I was trying to think about kind of what it might have meant. And there's a line in it where it says, "And the soul felt its worth." The soul felt its worth. This is saying something about the Nativity that I sometimes think gets a bit overlooked. Because quite often we will celebrate the Nativity, we'll celebrate Christmas, and we'll remember Jesus coming to earth. We'll remember that incredible moment when God joined in with the muck and the mess of this world in the muck and the mess of a stable. And then sometimes we'll move a bit further on, and we'll move to Jesus' death and Jesus' resurrection, and we'll talk about sin, and we'll talk about the freedom from sin that we have through Jesus' death and resurrection. And that is important, and it is important to remember at Christmas that Jesus came to take away our sin. But the soul feeling its worth somehow doesn't seem to be either of those. And actually I think this is saying something slightly different. I think the soul feeling its worth is saying something about how God looks at us. When God looks at us, he sees us as valued. He sees us as a loved child of God. He sees us as important and significant and meaningful. And so he includes us in the story of redemption. If you think about it, ordinary people are included all the way through the Nativity. We have Mary, she's an ordinary fishing community girl from a bit of a background that's very ordinary, being married to, or about to get married to, a very ordinary carpenter. We have some very ordinary shepherds. Some very ordinary shepherds who have been out in their fields, and yet they were the first ones to go and hear and to share the Christmas message. And then also in that story, of course, we have the wise men. Now quite often we paint these as kings, we paint them as very important people, and they may have had some wealth and some sort of security and riches there, but actually there's no real evidence that they were kings, and actually they were perhaps from a bit of an obscure religious sect, because otherwise surely if it was mainstream that there'd be this star that everyone would follow, there'd be thousands of wise folk flocking to follow this star, because even Herod and his wise men didn't know what was going on. He had to call in these extra wise men to find out what was going on, why they were looking for this new king. So they're all kind of quite ordinary people, and yet they are all used in extraordinary ways. Mary, of course, is used as the mother of Jesus. The shepherds are used to be the first to hear the good news. And those who are trying to stick to something that they believe to be the true faith, to be really significant and important for their faith, are also used to be some of the first to bring those gifts to the child. Heading onwards a bit, of course, we also have Simeon and Anna, who were two older folk who were in the temple, and they too were waiting for something to happen. They too were waiting for this promised Messiah. And they too, ordinary people, are used in an extraordinary way. They are all given worth. And God gives each of us the same kind of worth. He gives each of us particular roles, particular tasks, for particular moments. It may be that you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm not sure if my moment has come. Have I missed it? Is it too late? Or have I gone the wrong way? Well, even the wise men went the wrong way. And as I said, Simeon and Anna were a little bit older. Perhaps they too would think the same thing. And Mary, she was younger. So you can't say you're too young either. God has got a plan and a purpose for your life. And part of our role as followers of Jesus, I feel, is to try and work with God and say, God, what are you calling me to right now? What is it that you're saying to me at the moment that you want me to be doing? New Year is just around the corner, and that's always a good time to think about resolutions and to think about what we might do next, and to perhaps be looking into the future and what the future might hold, particularly after all the uncertainties that this last year has been. But as we approach Christmas and as we approach this new year, know that God has called you for a particular task. He has chosen you for a particular moment. It might be something small, and it might be something big. It might just be singing God's praises, as the shepherds did that first night, that night divine.